Hello, Gajendra.
Hi Pooja, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you. Gajendra, we won't be able to stream this meeting, but it will be recorded and uploaded right after the meeting. And I
Yep.
think,
Sounds good.
yeah, it will also be having summaries all by bot and things like that. We are working on automation of, all protocol calls. So this is just an effort in that direction. Would you want to quickly check
Got
this
it.
sharing permission if it is working well for you?
Yeah, that's what I'm checking.
Okay, I've shared the agenda in chat here. Looks like it's working well, and I also see one of the first PR is merged. Anyway, so Gajendra, I know we have a lot of open PRs, but it wasn't very clear to me like how do we engage other PRs. Mostly in draft category they are there, so they are new. But because this is for core EIPs, I just have tried to put together a small list here, which is miscellaneous and some draft. So if we are done with this, we can perhaps take a look into the review from EIP board to address some of the issues. If you are good, maybe we can go ahead and get started with the meeting.
Yep, let's go.
All right. Welcome to EIP Editing Office Hour. This is meeting number 76 and is added on Ethereum PM repo with issue number 1775. On agenda, we have added only PRs which are related to EIPs, like from the EIP GitHub repository. We do have some proposals to review under miscellaneous and a draft category. And once we are done with that, we can go ahead and take a look at the EIP board if time permits. People who have joined here on the call, if you are here for any particular EIP related PR, please drop the link in the chat and we can perhaps take a look. Please be mindful in this meeting, we are only going to cover EIP related PRs. We won't be able to review ERCs, unfortunately. However, you can drop your PRs related to ERC for the next meeting, which is on next Tuesday, and the issue number is 1776. So, yeah, thank you for joining. And Gajendra, thank you for joining us here. We can perhaps go ahead and get started with the first PR, which is in the miscellaneous status. Not status, but under category of miscellaneous here for review.
Yep, thanks Pooja. Yeah, let's get started. So I looked into both of these PRs, and so these PRs are regarding some technical changes, and over here Itan has already responded. So, and I also added my comment because this is my EIP as well. So I'm co-authoring it. So basically, this is technical stuff and not under the purview of EIP editing. Similarly, this other EIP whose author I am, again, it talks about some technical changes. And I have basically responded that this sort of is not correct. So we'll wait for author we will wait for the PR author to respond. But as such, again, this is not under the purview of EIP editing. This EIP, this PR, which was sort of getting blocked from merging it, I basically restarted all the CI actions and it sort of merged. On the draft, we're coming to the draft, the new EIPs. This EIP I was able to approve. So it is now merged and is a draft EIP. Let's look into the PR 10554. I also looked into this and basically have raised some pointers which author can review and sort of address them. And when they do, we'll again come back and review this. Going to the next PR for a new EIP. So I think uh, Andrew already provided an EIP number, which author has not yet updated. So we'll wait for author to do the updates and get the CI passing, and then we can basically do some review. Although I did some review, and again, there is quite a lot of code that has been bundled. It's a Python code, and so Pooja, maybe we should again put this issue into EIP meeting, that what is the best way to handle reference implementations, because obviously we don't want them in our EIP repo, because it will make it unnecessarily bulky, and obviously we don't want any active code. I mean, we want pseudocode as code reference, but we don't want any uh, active reference code that is in our EIP repo, because we don't want to sort of distribute it. We don't want to become an agent to distribute this code through our EIP repo. So this is something we should basically discuss in EIP IP.
Yeah.
And I have also referred to the author that maybe if they can refer to the code in a very high level pseudocode, that is actually better when you are trying to explain concepts, which is what EIP process is all about.
That's right. That's nice. Actually, we kind of briefly discussed this in the last EIP meeting. I believe you had pointed out another similar PR where the author was trying to make Fellowship of Ethereum Magician as a placeholder for reference implementation. It seems Sam disagrees to the idea because, again, Fellowship of Ethereum Magician is something that can be open for forever and it will keep on changing. So he disagrees to have that link being added as reference implementation, but I'm happy to put PR number 10557 as you mentioned again in the next EIP meeting. Maybe we can come up with some different solution to have reference implementation added.
Yeah, and I think there is one particular ERC that I'm not sure whether it got merged or not, but again, it was sort of raised by Josh Rudolph, where they wanted to link a reference implementation again, which is how I was suggesting them that, okay, refer them in your Ethereum Magicians link. But that Magicians link also doesn't work because bot sort of flags it anywhere except discussions too. So in that sense, yes, we need to sort of find a proper solution for it, how to best add the code reference. If we can, for this particular, I think we can discuss it further in EIP IP, but if we can, for example, just allow GitHub code references with a fixed commit number, uh, any GitHub code reference with a fixed commit number in the reference implementation section, I think that would be the best way to deal with it. But I guess we can talk about it in EIP IP meeting.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yes, the idea of not adding Fellowship of Ethereum Magician in the body of the EIP. We do have it in the preamble, but that's fine, but not in the part of body.
Right. Moving to the, okay, this was covered. Moving to the next new EIP proposal. So I assigned the EIP number, and it seems like author is sort of fixing the PR, and when the author will be done and it will be all green, then I will give it a review.
Sounds good.
All right. So what do we want to do now, Pooja? Review from the EIP board.
Yes, perhaps we can take a look at the EIP board. I understand that we have a lot of open PRs, but most of the PRs there are in either typo fixing category. I understand where until we get response from the author, it doesn't make sense to be added in editor's review list. So I left it as is. We can perhaps look into, yeah, some of the old PRs from here.
Now, would you like to sort of take on the control and for the viewing section, because I don't understand where to go? Should I filter something over here?
There is this, if you scroll up a little bit, there would be download report. So you can just perhaps download report, and that will give us a complete list of all proposals which are added there.
So is the report visible as well?
It is not, but it is in the same sequence as you can see it here in the serial number mentioned. So you can click the view PR from here with the same serial number.
Oh, okay. So the 9354, this was a new PR. I think we should
Yeah,
review.
it's the first one, yes. So I believe this is long pending. BOMA added something, but we never heard back from the author, the proposer.
Right, but if this isn't passing and author is not addressing it, I mean,
Yep,
it is sort of not it is not on our onus to sort of push it forward.
right. Yeah, so that is that is the reason why I was like mentioning this before. Like there are so many PRs, but those PRs are not pending on editors. They are pending on authors or the proposers. So a lot of proposals are just there for review. For example, the next one, 9395, I believe it is waiting on some conflict resolution that can only be done by the EIP author.
Oh, this is Tim. I think he's sort
I
of
mean,
on a holiday or something.
now we can even add, I guess, 7569 new. I think Alex is also co-author now, right?
Yes. I mean, if he proposes a PR, we'll basically sort of add him a co-author and accept him as well. Yeah.
Oh, but I see him as the co-author right now. So,
Not on all the PRs.
okay.
So, for example, this particular,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now what is the
and
idea?
I
How do
mean,
we move
we
forward?
also,
Because we
I
know Steve is
think,
not going to be available for some time.
yeah, I think we should just bring it to the attention of Alex, I guess.
Okay.
At at least where we know that, who's the person in charge for these
Mm-hmm.
PRs.
Yeah, right, right. That is a good idea. I believe Rohan has a question, comment. Rohan, you want to add something?
Yeah, this is just a general comment on the EIP ERC process, like submitting one. Um, I think like I just heard you mention like how the onus isn't on you guys as the reviewers, like if like there's certain format issues and things like that, which I totally agree on, right? Because you're not the ones writing the ERC. I think that totally makes sense. But there is no documentation on like the process or even like the format or anything. Like we had we struggle and like we worked with David, who's like like heading all the AI stuff at Ethereum, and we worked with him. He said like this is great, like you should submit it, and then it took us like over a week just to get information on like what the correct like formatting was, how like the different tests were structured. There's like a bunch of other like small issues that weren't really described anywhere, and I guess I'm just wondering, like, is there a reason there's no documentation that exists on how to create these proposals, or is it just that like everyone's just expected to figure it out on their own? Because I think it'd just be much more efficient, if there's like some place on the magician's site that said like this is how you should be um, submitting your PRs. Because ERC1 describes how the proposals like should be made and like what kinds of things should be in it, but the PR is like where most people get stuck, and there isn't really documentation there.
Yeah, I mean, the reason for that would be, I mean, there is no hard and fast format in the sense that basically you have to describe your idea and it should fit into the very high level format that we enforce by, providing the headers, right? So this is why we provide the headers. This is why we have the bots, so that at least, that is the basic thing that we can enforce. And apart from that, I think it's more about whether your PR is sort of, expressing your idea properly or not.
Right.
Is there something that you think can be structured? I mean, that would be sort of helpful. If you have some points, then
Sure.
we can discuss it in EIP IP meeting. And so our way of doing things would be, so can we sort of, add these test, add these checks in the bot itself, because bot is like a very iterative way of giving feedback, right? So you do something and bot doesn't pass, so it
Right.
will tell why it didn't pass as well. So in that sense, I think that is the best way to deal about it. But apart from that, if you think that there are some examples that can be created, but I mean, all the ERCs that are out there are sort of examples only, or EIPs that are out there are sort of
Yeah.
examples. But
Um,
what is exactly that, for example, so what are your exact suggestions, like
Yeah,
what
I
can
mean,
we do?
I can definitely like write something that maybe like send it or however that works. But I think it's actually to do with the test cases themselves. Like this was something I heard from a few other people as well, and we encountered during like while we were submitting the test, right? Like there's a lot of times where certain ones fail, and like specifically that one with the where it like generates the HTML that is going to actually publish on the main ERC site, right? And that has like a bunch of different checks for like are all anytime there's like an ERC mention, is it like hyperlinked correctly to the ERC within the repo? There are like a few other like formatting things, like they're like very specific items that aren't documented anywhere, but they're in the tests. So I think like if there's something clear saying like, okay, these are all the tests and this is exactly like what they're looking for, and that's just like like posted as like documentation somewhere, even on the GitHub, whether it's the README or somewhere else, that would be really helpful, because that test takes almost 20 minutes to run, and like every time there's like one or two like small things, right? You wait 20 minutes and then you see like, oh, there's like some error, but there's no docs on it, right? So you didn't even know that that was like a formatting thing that you had to do, and then you have to like rerun and make a new commit and like wait another 20 minutes. So I think that's like the main issue probably.
I believe you can run that test locally as well. So there must be some command. I'm sure there is a command that you can run locally and verify that your PR passes those tests, So you don't have to wait on the CI for that. But as such, the general rules are already there because we don't add anything into CI test unless we have documented it on EIP1 or ERC1, right? So
Mm.
uh, are are those things not present in EIP1 and ERC1 is my question then.
I think one or two of them is just not, it's not very clear, but I mean, I can make a PR for this where I just like update the README, right? And make a PR saying like, okay, here's like these extra docs just so like there's like one spot where someone can see all of them, right? Rather than like having to dig through the the full like the entire full documentation. Since like, at least like the CI, whether you're running locally or like, directly on the actual repo, um, it would all just be in like one place. So I mean, I could do that, but I don't know how long that will take to approve either, right? So it's not that, see, I don't actually know, right? Because there's so much on like the ERC1 that certain like small things maybe they got missed, but I guess it's just like not clear document. Anyways, I don't want to waste your time, but yeah, I think maybe like if it was all condensed in like at least for the tests in one spot in the repo, that would help a lot of people. That's all.
So I guess what you are trying to say is that maybe we have one example which has all the features that we support and the CI passes so that people can look at it and see whether they are
Yes,
consistent with
exactly.
it or not. I think that could probably work. And maybe Pooja, yes, we can add this in our EIP IP agenda that if we can generate a sample EIP or DRC where all the features are present and people can sort of use to refer it, I guess that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We can definitely add it. But Rohan, as you suggested, it would be a good idea to have a PR with respect to whatever changes you are talking about. And one more thing, like I would like to add, you mentioned ERC1 multiple times. I am not very confident that ERC1 is being actively maintained. When the repo split happened, ERC1 was made as a copy of EIP1. Generally speaking, we do not have a duplicate number for any of the EIP, ERC, and even for RIP. So my recommendation would be to please follow EIP1 instead of ERC1. You would find everything related to ERC's documentation available in EIP1 as well. So even in future, if we want to add some recommendation that could be helpful for many other authors to document their proposal, perhaps we should make it in the EIP1 rather than going to ERC1.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know you guys changed it too, so I think that also might be part of the confusion. Like all like all these like small things like notes like these like that we should use the EIP1 for both ERC and EIP. If that's like all in that Git repo somewhere like with the sample and like some notes or something, I think yeah, like you said, like that would probably be really helpful. So yeah, that makes sense.
Sure, we will
Yeah,
add.
thank you. Yeah.
Cool. Yep. Hi, Ben. Do you want to bring something up or you just wanted us to bring your EIP in focus?
Just to bring the EIP in focus, really, because ideally I'd like to add it to the Meta EIP, which is the 8007, which is the Glamsterdam gas repricing. So I'd like to get it on the agenda with other
Cool.
products.
So I think
10579.
Yeah, it's the last one.
there is some CI still failing.
Let me have a look at that. Oh, yeah, I can fix that. It's just the external image link. I didn't update the EIP for some reason. Uh, 7. Right. Okay. Push that. Okay, that should be fixed.
Ben, is it possible that we don't do our own indentation over here in terms of new lines because, then the HTML renderer would basically be able to render it. I guess it would still be able to render it properly, but I prefer that you don't add any new lines yourself so that
So it's all
whatever is
one.
viewer
Okay.
can, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's unless you are sort of doing a new line and sort of separating out the paragraph.
Yeah. Understood. That's easy enough to change. One thing I wasn't entirely sure about, but I think is correct. I suppose I could just look at other EIPs. So we're focused on the idea of providing test cases. But that doesn't really seem to fit into a specific. I don't know if it's security considerations that goes in.
Uh, can you sort of also add with language? This is like how we do triple dash Python or something like that, I guess. Or this is just totally pseudocode.
Yeah, that's just sort of pseudocode math. So I've got two sections. The first one is like the maths that deals with it in floating point numbers, and then a second section which is integers because we don't like floating points. That's fair. And also yeah, power of 3 and
Yeah, what exactly were you saying for the test cases, Ben?
I wasn't sure where it lived. I have it under security considerations, but I don't know if there's yeah, because you'll get a linting error if you add your own sections. I suppose it's specification maybe. Yeah, okay. I think I've answered my own question.
Yeah, so what exactly do you want to do over here?
Oh, move test cases into and reference implementation up into specification rather than in security.
I think we don't have any specific format to provide for test cases. And yes, reference implementation, I think this is fine on a very high level. Do you want to provide a very deep reference implementation? Or this is fine?
This is fine. I'm only providing it because there are potential rounding issues, and that would cause
Right.
consensus problems. So just to be exact on how to round.
I think you can just even move this to the spec. You can move this to the spec itself, so you don't need them in the reference implementation, because reference implementation is like quite a complete kind of implementation where everything else is present. So I guess you can also move it to the spec, because that would sort of properly define the functions and the rounding things, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. So once you have done some of the changes that I asked for, let me just leave a comment.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Once you have done this, I'll just go through it again, and then I can just approve it. Everything else looks fine to me.
Thank you very much.
Very well.
Thank you, Ben.
Very well. In the meantime, I took liberty to take a look at the EIP board, and there are 36 PRs which are listed, and most of them are on consensus side, like editor's consensus, which I don't think we will be in a position to review it here today. And some of them are typo, which again are waiting on author's response in order to move forward. The proposals which were added as draft has already been reviewed by you, Gajendra. I think in less than an hour, I saw comments on each one of them. So I believe we are good for today. Today's agenda, like the PRs which are there for review, is all taken care of.
Yep. I guess we can, finish up this session.
Yeah, a little early today. Thank you everyone for joining in here. Next week on Tuesday at 1600 UTC, we will have another editing office hour. So please feel free to add your PRs. We already have an issue open on Ethereum/PM repo for that meeting. Thank you everyone for joining us here today.
Goodbye, everyone.
Mhm.
Yep.